I fear, Mr Deputy Speaker, that this bill fails to meet our obligations on human rights abroad, but it also fails to meet our obligations to service personnel when they return home. The UK should rightly aspire to be a global torchbearer for human rights, and our military should be held to the highest professional standards. The triple lock and 5-year limit on prosecutions in this bill make a mockery of any claim we might have a respect for human rights and international law. Because, Mr Deputy Speaker, human rights don't change depending on the miles travelled and the borders crossed. They are universal and they are non-negotiable. From Hallam to Herat, we are all have the right to live free from torture or war crimes. That is why I was appalled to read in the Bill Committee minutes that ministers had excluded torture because, and I quote, "We expect our service personnel to undertake actions that are intrinsically violent in nature, which may lead to allegations of torture or war crimes." Now, Mr Deputy Speaker, torture is clearly defined in international law. It is never accidental. It is not a grey area. It is an intentional act of inflicting very serious and cruel suffering on another person. It can't be justified with heat-of-the-moment arguments, and it's ridiculous to say that conventional military operations could be mistaken for torture. Alongside hundreds of constituents who have contacted me about this bill, I completely oppose any suggestion that there are any circumstances in which torture might be excusable. But, Mr Deputy Speaker, not only are these proposals an affront to human rights, they also fail to support our veterans, the group the government say it is defending. The largest number of civil claims made against the MOD are claims of negligence brought by former soldiers. The proposal for the 6-year limit on lodging civil claims makes it harder for ex-military personnel to sue the MOD for failure in its duty of care to them. It means the troops who've developed PTSD, blindness and other conditions will be left with no recourse to justice. Far from supporting veterans, the government's proposals are entirely self-serving. Mr Deputy Speaker, we should reject any attempt to run down the clock on civil claims, and there can be no get-out-of-jail-free cards for torture or war crimes. There is no stopwatch on justice, and there are no exceptions, no ifs or buts on torture or human rights. And that's why I'll be joining colleagues in supporting these amendments this evening and in voting against this bill.